So far, we have learned that STAAD's geometry can quietly drift from the real structure and that load can travel through paths you never intended unless you deliberately control them with releases and inactive members. Now, let's discuss diaphragm, the floor and the roof that most beginners never think about at all, and after this part, you never will look at the slab at the same way again. What a diaphragm actually does. See, your vertical frames and shear walls only work if something delivers the lateral wind or seismic load to them evenly in the first place. That something is horizontal diaphragm, your floor or roof acting almost like a giant flat beam lying on its side, collecting lateral load and handling it to the vertical frames below. There is not one correct way to model this in STAAD. There are three, and picking the wrong one for your real construction type will seriously distort how much force each frame is actually designed to resist. Our working example for this entire part is one structure that is 3 cross-braced frames of equal stiffness with a 20 kilopascal load applied at each column line. Now let's understand rigid diaphragms in STAAD. The rigid diaphragm assumes every point on the floor moves together, sliding and rotating as a one rigid body. This is reasonable for a solid concrete slab or concrete fill on metal deck, particularly when the slab span to depth ratio is 3 or less. And here is exactly how you build this in STAAD. So from the general specification tab, select the node button to open the node specification window. Pick the node that will act as master for every other node in that diaphragm. It does not matter much which one, as long as it sits in the same plane as the rest. Then choose which degrees of freedom link to that master node. STAAD's default rigid option links all of them. But for a horizontal diaphragm, you actually only want to link the in-plane translation and the rotation about the axis perpendicular to the diaphragm. So unselect the rigid and select the ZX box instead, which is equivalent to linking FZ, FX and MY. Then select every node that makes up that diaphragm, including the master. Run it, and here is the result. See, load is distributed to the 3 frames based on their relative stiffness, and because we deliberately made all 3 frames equally stiff in this example, the frame deflection and the diaphragm deflection comes out exactly equal, confirming the diaphragm is genuinely behaving as a one single rigid unit. One detail beginners constantly skip: if the center of mass of the floor and the center of stiffness of the supporting frames do not coincide, you get torsion in this case and added twisting effect on the whole plate, which increases the force on the frames farthest from the center of stiffness. Miss that and you under-designed exactly the frames that needed the most attention. Now let's understand the flexible diaphragm in STAAD. The flexible diaphragm behaves almost opposite way, like an elastic beam with the stiffness that is small compared to the supporting frames. Typically for wood diaphragms or bare metal deck, here engineers commonly hand calculate the load distributed to each frame based on the tributary width and simply do not include the diaphragm stiffness inside the STAAD model at all. Now you can see in this result, the diaphragm deflection is clearly independent of the frame stiffness, unlike the rigid case. The catch: if someone later on changes the building or heavy equipment moves in or a bracing line relocates, that hand calculated distribution can quietly go stale because it was never actually part of the live STAAD model to begin with. Now I'll give you a quick short highlight of modeling the real diaphragm segment in this STAAD, how you can do that. See, this is the section that actually shows you STAAD's finite element modeling capability, and it is worth watching closely because this is a genuinely useful day-to-day workflow. So in the geometry section, you have to find out the plate tool location. Locate the Add 4 Noded Plate tool on the STAAD toolbar. Then draw a plate between nodes. Draw one plate between 4 adjacent nodes. Since the beam spacing is typically equal, you only need to do this once. Then next step that comes is the Generate Mesh. Right click that plate with the plate selection cursor and then choose to generate mesh. Here choose quadrilateral meshing over polygonal for cleaner plate geometry. In the same manner, now copy plates to remaining beam span. Select all the newly created plates, use copy and paste with the reference point option and paste them across the remaining beam spans. That is your entire diaphragm meshed from one original plate. Now see, there is a second method too, that is STAAD's built-in parametric modeling tool, which is genuinely more flexible if your floor geometry changes later on. You can check out this parametric model segment as well from the geometry tab. Select parametric models, then add. Then you have to name the mesh model, useful if you have multiple floors to mesh in the same project. And now draw the outer boundary of the area. So in the mesh parameter window, choose the standard meshing method with quadrilateral elements. For boundary connectivity option, you can choose option C, letting STAAD optimize mesh quality automatically, and this is the typical practical choice most commonly used by structural engineers. So from that, STAAD generates the primary mesh and display it immediately, and nodes are automatically created for connectivity to the supporting beams. In the next step, from the general properties, select the thickness and input as a 6-inch thick slab and assign the material as concrete. Note that STAAD's default concrete assumption is 3000 psi compressive strength unless you change it. Now comes the important part. Now assign the plate stress specification to every plate. See, this is the detail that makes the entire model behave correctly. Plane stress ensure the diaphragm carries no transverse stiffness, so it cannot accidentally share load with the beam members the way it should not in real life. And remember from the part 2, the FZ release on the beam still applies here too, so the beams do not carry weak axis bending that belongs to the diaphragm. And here are the numbers that should surprise you. So we have modeled that same floor as a real 6-inch concrete slab, and look at the results. The maximum diaphragm displacement is only slightly greater than the frame line displacement. The floor is stiff enough that it barely deforms on its own, very close to the rigid assumption that we have done for the earlier model. Now replace that concrete slab with bare steel deck using the Steel Deck Institute's diaphragm design manual approach. Here, steel-based material shear modulus is considered as 11,300 ksi, and for this example, I have assumed G prime of 50 kip per inch, which gives an equivalent plate thickness of just 0.00133 inches. And look at the displacement results now. Substantially, dramatically greater than the frame line displacement. Same building footprint, same lateral load, but two completely different structural behaviors. Purely because of what material actually sits between your column, that is totally dependent on this. See, if your connections were designed assuming a rigid concrete diaphragm, but the contractor built on top bare steel deck instead, your assumed load distribution to every frame is wrong completely from day one. See, every one of these diaphragm choices, let's say rigid, flexible or real, changes how load reaches your vertical frames. But there is one force we have not touched yet, one that shows up at connections. Everybody assumes they are simple, and it is one force most beginners forget that even that exists. So in part 4, we cover torsion using real everyday details, a vessel on support lugs, a channel outrigger, a precast double T, plus the actual STAAD member release syntax for a column splices and cantilever girder splices. Also, we will understand how to read STAAD's instability warnings in the output file without panicking. Stay tuned, I'll see you in the part 4. And remember, don't just learn software, learn concepts. Thank you.